One of the major problems technology is currently facing is repairability. Phones, laptops, and desktops are only becoming more proprietary over time and continuously have more safeguards against consumers repairing their own technology. Partially because of this, 62 million tons of e-waste was generated in 2022. One company that is a particularly bad offender is Apple. From using proprietary screws, not offering replacement parts, to even software handicapping replacement parts, Apple has implemented every trick in the book to stop consumers from repairing the tech the consumer owns. This is especially true since the release of their new generation of Mac hardware with the M series processors. This is a 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro chip. It has a broken display. Because of this, it is difficult to use as a laptop. If this were like many laptops, a tech-savvy person could purchase a replacement screen online and swap the display out to completely fix this issue. Unfortunately, because this is Apple, a replacement screen for this device costs the exact same as the whole laptop used. For a professional repair shop to replace this, it would cost even more. But this doesn't mean that this laptop is useless. If you have any experience home labbing, you know how it can affect your power bill. This MacBook still has an extremely efficient, powerful chip that works perfectly fine. Today I want to see if using these broken laptops as an ultra-efficient home lab is a viable strategy for keeping these computers out of the landfill. So why do I think a broken Apple computer would be a good home lab? Starting in 2020, Apple began using their ultra-efficient ARM-based processors in all their computers, replacing the Intel processors that had previously been used. This immediately boosted the performance and efficiency of their computers. For my testing, I am able to get roughly 5 watts at idle and 45 watts at full load on this MacBook. This is extremely good for the performance that this laptop can output, which is more than enough to run some basic home server applications. Furthermore, because of the efficiency and robust cooling system, these MacBooks are extremely quiet and stay extremely cool. So how will I test this computer's viability as a home lab? In order to gather data from a variety of use cases, I will run several self-hosted applications on Docker, which is macOS support. These applications will include a Minecraft server, Jellyfin as a media server, and Ollama as a self-hosted chatbot. During my testing, I will be measuring the power draw of the server and noting lagginess or any other issues that may arise. I will also be testing these same applications on Asahi Linux, specifically the officially supported Fedora server flavor. I will be comparing the differences between the two and talking about their individual benefits and shortcomings. I began by installing Docker on my MacBook. This was very easy to do with the Docker desktop app, and I was able to get it up and going in a few minutes. This was the same with Ollama. I simply downloaded the DMG files from the official websites and had both these applications up and running very quickly. I then moved on to installing Portainer through the terminal, as that is the way I'm used to installing it. This is about the point I got to before I began having issues. Upon installing Watchtower to automatically update my containers, I was met with this error message. I tried for a while to update Docker to its latest version, but was unable to, and resorted to simply deleting Watchtower, as I figured I wouldn't really need it for the short test. Moving on, I was able to install OpenWebUI to access my Ollama instance from the web, a Minecraft server, and a Jellyfin instance without running into any more issues. AI performance was good on this machine. With 16 gigabytes of unified memory and a powerful onboard GPU, models that can run in the amount of memory ran extremely well. Using the Qwen 3.5 9 billion parameter model gave me 13.35 tokens per second of speed. This is more than enough to be usable. Measuring the power during a query shows that the power never reaches higher than 45 or so watts. This is the same for the Minecraft server. Playing on the server was flawless, and performance was extremely good. I was able to spawn in quite a lot of mobs and load many chunks before performance began taking a hit. During this whole time, the power stayed really close to idle. It was the same with Jellyfin on macOS. Setting it up was like any other instance of Jellyfin I've set up previously. One of the only differences would be if you decide to set up hardware transcoding, I personally did not in this case, and I had no issue with the software transcoding when I tested it out. Movie playback was fine, and I had no issues such as stuttering or black screens that might indicate something wrong. macOS provided a very usable home server experience on the 14-inch M1 MacBook Pro. There were some bumps with getting it initially set up, but if you have a good working knowledge of macOS and self-hosting, you should be able to get it up and going with minimal issues. Once working, the experience of using any of the services I was running was much the same as on any other machine I've used. If you've made it to this point in the video and have enjoyed watching so far, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers and I would really appreciate it. So how did Asahi Linux fare as a home lab? Because of the broken screen on this MacBook, I had several problems installing the server edition of Asahi Linux. Eventually, I was able to get through the installer by using the fbcon rotate command in the grub boot options, by guessing my way through editing them. Once I had rotated the screen to an orientation where I could see the installation TUI, I was able to set up Asahi and enable SSH as normal. When it comes to using Asahi as a home lab, I would say it was about the same as macOS. Because I am personally more comfortable using Linux, setting up the Asahi Linux server was much easier for me than setting it up on macOS. I didn't run into any strange issues with Watchtower, and installing Docker and all my services was just about the same as any other Linux computer. In my opinion, the initial setup phase on Asahi was easier once I got it installed. If you are just getting into self-hosting and are more familiar with macOS than Linux, however, you might opt to use macOS. While using the services I was running on Asahi, I never ran into any issues in the time I used them. I was able to play on my Minecraft server, watch movies, and query my local AI without issue. The only major difference I noticed from macOS to Asahi in terms of usability was the speed of the AI. Since Asahi has very limited GPU support, the AI ran fully on the CPU, significantly slowing it down. It was still very usable, but noticeably slower, only getting about 6 tokens per second. In terms of power usage, Asahi and macOS were very close, as you can see from this graph I created from monitoring Asahi Linux's power draw across a 24-hour period. Both used about the same power across different use cases, regardless of the operating system, idling at about 5 watts and using up to 45 watts when performing a compute-heavy task such as running an LLM. In general, I would say this experiment was a success. I showed that Apple Silicon hardware can successfully be used as very good self-hosting computers. On both Asahi Linux and macOS, performance was impressive, and power draw across idle and multiple use cases was impressive. If your goal is to host a few small applications, I would highly recommend these machines. However, there are a few caveats I want to go over. On both Asahi Linux and macOS, you will be limited by upgradability. Many of these laptops come with inadequate storage for media and lack the ability to install secondary drives to create RAID pools, making it unrecommended for storing backups. On Asahi Linux especially, you will be giving up even more storage as you are required to have both macOS and Asahi Linux OS files installed. While you could mitigate this lack of storage by connecting it to a DAS or NAS, you would be losing the benefit of these extremely power-efficient chips, as the YouTuber Wolfgang's channel found when he tried the same project 3 years ago. Furthermore, if you want to try Asahi Linux, you would be giving up GPU capabilities on this machine. If you are someone like me who doesn't use a GPU often for your home lab, this may not be an issue for you. Furthermore, you may have a significantly difficult time performing the initial setup of Asahi Linux. Overall, if the alternative is to have these computers sit in a drawer or pollute landfills, I'd much rather see them put to work as extremely efficient home servers. If you can find the right applications for these machines, such as a web server or game server, they can still be extremely useful. If you want to look at any of my sources, I put any links that I used in the description below. If you have any questions or feel that I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. As a small YouTuber, I appreciate any feedback I receive. Thank you and have a good day.